Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about warm-ups because I had someone ask me over on the Facebook fan page, what's the purpose of a warm-up? What do you view as their role in the grand scheme of training? So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Because last time I covered this topic, it created a lot of controversy, probably because of my title. It really threw a lot of people off. I am of the opinion that people who are in shape, that warming up before lifting weights is not a valuable or viable injury prevention tool. But people then take that as me saying don't warm up. And that's not the case at all. I just don't believe that warm-ups are useful for injury prevention at all. If you're going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt for other reasons, not because your joints weren't warm. I think that's total nonsense. I believe that warm-ups are there to warm up your nervous system before heavy sets. All right, it's there to prime your nervous system, and I'm going to discuss that in just a bit of specifically what I mean about that, because a lot of people approach warm-ups incorrectly, at least in my opinion, and that's the point we're making here. This is about my opinion. But there are some strength and conditioning coaches, there are some world record holders in different strength sports who do actually agree with what I'm going to say here. Guys like Jamie Lewis is a perfect example. But the thing is, you take Jamie Lewis, for example, and what does he say about warming up as far as certain things go? Jamie has said, now keep in mind, he deadlifted 670 without a belt in the 181-pound weight class. Okay, so you're talking about a guy who deadlifts well over 3 times his body weight. I think you're definitely up there like 3.5 times his body weight without a belt, without straps. Jamie is of the opinion that if a person, and he throws this number out there, and guys keep in mind he's a little extreme sometimes, that if a person can't walk into a gym with the blue jeans on or without a warm-up, can't walk over and deadlift 500 pounds without hurting themselves or needing a warm-up, that he would say they're not actually strong, they're not really in shape in terms of strength or strength mobility or any of that. He would say they're out of shape completely. And he's said that statement before, that he doesn't believe that they're a strong person. They're definitely not a true strength athlete. And he's got an interesting point there, because people have these ideas, well, I'm there to warm up the joints, and it's like, why? Your joints are already the temperature of your body. I mean, stop and think about that for a moment. Your joints are the same temperature as your body. Your body holds pretty good homeostasis. Do you honestly think, and I want people to think about this for a moment, when you think about how joints work, do you honestly think creating some friction in a joint and getting them 1 degree hotter is somehow going to prevent injuries? Like, how would that actually do it? I want people to explain to me the actual process in the body, how that would stop you from getting hurt if you were going to get hurt. And they're like, well, the joint needs to warm up to be mobile. You didn't walk around and move your arm. Like, there you go. My elbow joint has now gone through the full range of motion. Does that mean I need to warm it up anymore? Think about that. It just went through the full range of motion. I had no trouble. I don't have any joint mobility problems. There you go. Look at my shoulder. It's the first thing in the morning. I can move my joints just fine. If you can't move your joints through a full range of motion first thing out of bed, I don't know what to tell you. You're out of shape. You don't have good mobility. And think about that. How does getting them slightly warmer, I mean, they're already at your body temperature. How is getting them warmer going to help you there? It doesn't make any sense. The thing is, the reason people have problems with some of this stuff is lack of mobility. People develop lack of mobility because they don't do enough full range of motion training. This is one of the reasons that I stress over and over and over full range of motion training. In fact, certain exercises, some people would benefit from doing deficit deadlifts. Some people would benefit from doing all the way ass to grass pause squats. Go really, really deep and learn to pause. Learn to explode out of the bottom of an exercise. Same thing, bench press. Bring it all the way down to your chest and pause and explode. Same thing even with dumbbells. You want to get better mobility through there. Learn to go all the way down and pause with dumbbells at the very bottom. Build your range of motion. Build your starting strength through the most extreme ranges of motion that are healthy and normal for a joint. And that will increase your mobility. All right, people who are needing to warm up because their joints or they're having mobility issues or different stretch problems, it's because they don't regularly train all their muscles through the fullest range of motion. Therefore, they get weak points in their joint angle specificity. Well, that affects mobility. that will affect mobility. That will also affect your ability to lift a heavy weight sometimes through those ranges of motion. So those people are needing to pre-stretch stuff more. They're needing to pre-stretch stuff with warm-ups because they're not used to training through the longer range of motion. And they have muscle imbalances, and that's another issue also, because people have muscle imbalances because they don't think in terms of, are my hamstrings strong enough to match my quads? Do I do enough posterior chain work? And I would say if you want to be injury-free as far as knees go, you need to be hamstring dominant. Posterior chain dominant reduces knee injuries. Quad dominance increases knee injuries. Are your hamstrings strong enough? Is your posterior chain strong enough? All right, are your rear delts and pulling muscles in your upper back strong enough to match your chest and front delts? Muscle imbalances create tensions that have to be pre-stretched a little bit more when you're training. That's one reason some people need to warm up, but that is not because everyone needs to do it. It's because these people are somewhat out of shape. They have muscle imbalances, they have things that aren't stretched properly. But what I would tell you is that, if, for example, if you do deficit deadlifts from time to time and you're used to pulling a fairly heavy weight from a deficit, a 2-inch deficit, 3-inch deficit sometimes, you shouldn't have any problem coming in and starting with a relatively heavy weight at a normal deadlift range of motion. It shouldn't be a problem at all. And I'm telling you, as someone who doesn't get hurt, doesn't get injured, I'm big on injury prevention, very big on it. Yet when I come in and do deadlifts, I usually do a triple with 405 before I go straight to my work sets. That's my warm-up on the deadlift. If I've already done other exercises and I'm doing relatively lightweight, I don't warm up at all on some lifts. My first lift of the day, but when I go to, say, Pendlay rows as a third exercise, all those muscles are already where I need them to be. I don't care about that. My nervous system is activated. I go straight to work sets. Why wouldn't I? And I'm sitting here as a 40-year-old man who doesn't have injuries. How many of these other guys you guys see who are younger than me are busted up, banged up? Because I honestly believe the warm-ups themselves don't contribute. It is training through full range of motion, developing starting strength, pause strength, mobility, muscle balance, making sure that common muscle imbalances aren't there, making sure your hamstrings are strong enough to match your quads, making sure your rear delts are strong enough to match your front delts. All right, training different exercises through the full range of motion, pausing at the bottom of a lot of exercises. All right, that will eliminate the injury risk that people talk about when we're talking about warming up there. And it is because people are not as in good of shape from a strength mobility and joint angle specificity and muscle balance component. That's the reason people sometimes need to pre-stretch these muscles more before they do any training. All right, but that shouldn't take that many sets. Shouldn't take that many sets at all. Now, I believe the main purpose of warm-ups is to prime the nervous system. It is to get the motor patterns going in order to facilitate you recruiting maximal muscle fibers on your work sets. All right, that is, in my opinion, the purpose of a warm-up. That's where it shines. That's the reason I could walk in and deadlift 500 pounds for reps. Cold. I have no trouble doing it. In fact, I've walked in and done it. It's not that difficult. It's way less than my max. Why would I struggle with that? I do one moderately heavy warm-up set to prime my nervous system, to prime the bar path, to wake up those motor patterns for that specific exercise. That's why I come in and I deadlift 405. Now, one of the mistakes I see people make, I see people warm up with a different technique than they're going to train with. For example, how many guys do you see who, when they come in, they start warming up on their bench press, they do fast reps, touch and go, they don't even lock out at the top, they'll start with the bar, they'll start doing stuff like that. Why would you do that? Why would you use a different technique than you're going to do on your warm-up sets? The warm-up is there to prime your nervous system to perform the exercise. So why would you warm up differently than you're going to train? If you're going to pause bench, pause on the chest and lock out at the top. Practice the breathing, the technique, everything you're going to do. If you're going to take really, really deep breaths and come and pause on the chest and exhale when you lift on the bench press, why wouldn't you warm up the exact same way? How many guys are out there? Well, I use double overhand grip to warm up on my deadlift, then go to mixed grip for my heavy sets. Well, why would you do that? Why would you change the technique? that you're about to use. Are you trying to warm up the motor pattern for the bar path or not? Your bar path is going to be slightly different if you grip the bar differently. All right, you people, and that's because they're thinking they're there to warm up the muscles. They're there to warm up the joints. Those things don't warm up hotter. They warm up during the set, but by the time you get to your next set after the warm-up, they're back at the temperature before you started. All right, it's not like you're doing something that's maintaining in there. You're there to wake up the motor patterns. Same thing, guys are like, well, you know, I'm lifting with a belt on my squats, but I wait to put the belt on until, you know, 315 when I only squat 405 for a couple reps. Well, again, think about that for a moment. You have a different bar path and different biomechanics when you take the belt on or off. You're not really warming up for the exercise. You're not warming up for it at all. So again, the whole point is that a warm-up is there to prime the nervous system so that you can get the most muscle fiber recruitment and the most motor unit recruitment out of your work sets. Your warm-ups need to be an exact replication of what you were about to do on the heavy sets, but just with a lighter weight. And if you're going to lift a weight fast, don't warm up slow. Do exactly what you plan on doing on the work sets. Exactly. Don't deviate. And hopefully that starts to spark some stuff in people's head, and they look at that and they say, oh, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, you need to warm up in the exact manner you're going to do for your heavy sets. And no, I don't think people need to do a ton of warm-ups. For me, I do 1, maybe 2 triples with the weight I'm about to use, or with a lighter weight before I go into work sets. That's how I warm up, because I know that works best for me, because I'm just there to prime my nervous system. And if I'm building up to a peak single, sometimes I'll spin several singles building up. But that's different when you're doing training maxes. That's a little bit different. You might need 3 or even 4 singles building up to get to that work set, but that's because you are about to lift a training max, all right, for a single rep. And so yeah, you do need to build to that and ramp to that a little bit, but that's also because that helps prime the nervous system for that rep. And I would also say, don't warm up with more reps than what you're going to lift on your heaviest sets. Why would you do that? Doing 6 reps or 8 reps doesn't prime your nervous system for a 3-rep set. If you're going to do triples, do a triple. Again, replicate what you're about to do with a lighter weight. It should be an exact replication. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.